we got a question over here.
Governor, I do have a question for you. You know, you're talking about the fabric of Colorado and how we need to pull together and unify as a community here. As you see, Longmont has been, you know, devastated here.
Sure.
And right now you have a lawsuit where you're suing our city. Are you going to continue using state tax dollars to sue another municipality that's under an extreme burden of just rebuilding the city itself? Or are you going to act in good faith and pull your lawsuit
Can't
against?
pull a lawsuit. I mean, the reason we didn't do that because we wanted to.
You could just withdraw it right now in good faith and help us out as a community. The question is the property rights of a multinational corporation more important than the devastation to these citizens in your contingent?
We will certainly address all the issues, without question. Now, we haven't made legal decisions, and we haven't looked at, you know, how we're going to make sure people are held.
Well,
made
don't
whole.
That's really not a problem
but
now.
right
The
now,
problem
well,
now
it is
are
a
our
problem.
streets
actually, the right
and
now,
our rivers.
the
Well,
issue.
the problem is you're
right
using
now,
revenues
but
to
right
defend
now,
a lawsuit, which if the governor's using our state tax dollars on a lawsuit, if they would pull those and use them towards the recovery effort, we'd be all better off as a state.
And I understand that, but right now the issue is the recovery of not only Longmont, but the entire state that has been affected by the floods. And I would agree with what the governor said.
I mean, I've got every lawyer working on how do we get the money in now.
Exactly.
I got every single ounce of brain power focused on.
Sandy give a tour.
Right, exactly.
I like that's a good answer. Thank you.
From a healthcare professional, Governor, you know, given the enormous amount of drilling out in Weld County, and given that there's a decent projection that this is a hazmat response, would you be willing to suspend the gag order on healthcare professionals when it comes to the release of fracking fluid components? This is the COGCC Form.
You'd have to talk to lawyers about that, because that's, you know, something I haven't looked at. I tell you, if you look at the amount of releases we had, we've gotten to almost every gathering site and almost every well. To my knowledge, we haven't seen any frac fluid that's been released at all.
Right. In the event that an individual gets exposed, as a healthcare professional, I have to sign a confidentiality agreement so that the public cannot know the components of that fluid.
I got it.
Are you still in support of that idea?
Again, I'm not going to speak for the lawyers, but I think that has been worked out.
This is COGCC.
Right. My understanding that they've worked that out. The issue I'm most concerned about, if you look at, we had what, 37,000 gallons of crude oil or condensates. We had.
What is condensate?
Condensate is a oil that drops out of gas, so it's very similar to
like
crude oil.
liquid industrial waste, right?
It's like crude oil. It's almost, they sell it as crude oil. They doctor it a little bit, but it's crude oil.
Right.
So we had 37,000 gallons of that. We had 20 million gallons, just so we're clear, of raw sewage, which if you talk to most healthcare professionals in terms of what the risk is, that's far more serious. I mean, I'm just telling you that's a fact.
What healthcare professional advised you on that?
The first person I talked to about that was somebody, and I think about what her name was. She was in one of the eastern towns.
These are highly toxic components. We already know that. And given that you have a first responder situation that could put people in direct contact with these components, do you think that it would be best serving the public interest and the public health to drop the gag order so that people know what we're dealing with in the event that this occurs?
We will certainly make sure if someone's is in harm's way with frac fluids in some way, we'll make sure that the medical professionals know exactly what they're doing, of course.
Governor, I don't want to keep standing on your crutches any longer than you have to. I know you have to go. Real quickly, talk about sitting in your office with your staff and the infrastructure issues here, how massive it is, and how you all are working through this right now to help towns like you're here talking to them today.
Well, you know, when you have a disaster of this size, the biggest challenge is how many things you've got to do at once. And I'll tell you, to be bluntly honest, we have depended on the local mayors and city council members